In the world of Star Wars video games, there's a lot of talk around certain ones amongst the Star Wars community. When you think Star Wars games, you think of Knights of the Old Republic, a game most fans would put at the top of their list, to be quite honest with you, a game many hold near and dear to their hearts. I also hear a lot of Star Wars fans, including myself, like the original Battlefronts. Whether it's Battlefront 1 or 2, these games get a lot of praise, and rightfully so, because like I said, I believe they are amazing as well. I mean, heck, even nowadays, I hear a lot of positivity thrown towards the Cal Kestis games, Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. Not really my cup of tea. I never really fully made it through them. I'm not a big Souls game kind of person. But overall, those games are incredible for what I played. But those really popular, high-praised Star Wars games are not what we're here to talk about today. I'm bringing the light to one extremely underrated Star Wars game, and that game is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the movie-based game from the PS2 era. But real quick, before we dive into Revenge of the Sith, I want to say a massive thanks to all of you that subscribed last week. I was mind blown by it. I want to welcome you to the Snake Pit. At the time of recording, this channel now has 405 subscribers, and I seriously am, I just can't believe that. It's blowing me away. All the positive feedback in the comments from you guys made me so happy. I can't even say how grateful I truly am for all of that. Again, thank you all, and let's get back to it before I get all emotional on you. One of these times I'm going to start crying actual tears of joy, because I just am so truly grateful for you guys. Movie-based games get a lot of hate, and understandably so, because most of them are trash.
What the hell?
Look at this garbage.
In my humble opinion, this is not one of those games that are movie-based that sucks ass. In fact, I think it's almost the complete opposite. Dare I say Revenge of the Sith from PS2 era is borderline legendary and should be talked about amongst the likes of those previously mentioned games. But I'm not here to say Revenge of the Sith is better than those few games. I just think it should be in the conversation when you talk about really good Star Wars games. In this video, I'm going to share my journey back through Revenge of the Sith again here in 2024, and I'm going to give you my opinion if this game is actually a hidden treasure, or if I'm dead wrong and it's not worth the praise that I want to give it so desperately. Thank you anyone watching this. You are highly appreciated for being here. If you could drop a like on the video and make sure you come join the Snake Pit by hitting that subscribe button, much appreciated. Now back to the video. As always, let's start from the top. You boot up the game. You start with this hyped intro video package. It shows you all the cool things that you're about to jump into as far as combat goes and other things that you'll discover along the way. And then you jump into the game, and I must say, I think it lives up to that video package you get presented at the beginning. And look, outright, I'm a big lightsaber type of Star Wars fans. I'm cool with the Rebels, the Empire, the droids, whoever, shooting blasters at each other. But the meat of the bone for me, as far as hypeness when it comes to Star Wars, is lightsaber battles. And to me, that's what makes Revenge of the Sith so special. You always play as a lightsaber holder in this game, other than these couple brief moments in the story whenever you're doing these like outdated turret sections of the game. And I say outdated because I don't think they're very fun at all. They just feel like old time stuff that doesn't work very well nowadays. And that's okay. This game's from 2005. It's not going to be absolutely perfect. I just still think this game is solid. But other than the turret sections, it's like 2 or 3 times you're wielding a lightsaber the entire time the rest of the game, and being a Jedi/Sith is what makes this game for me. Combat is great, and for a 20-year-old game, feels fluid most of the time. Only time it really doesn't is when you're trying to do the directional aiming or just aiming period. It feels kind of wonky and dated as well. You'll be getting lit up by a couple turrets or whatever. There's a bunch of things going on. There's 5 guys behind you. I'm not talking about the burger place. And you'll just struggle to aim at the proper thing that you're trying to defend yourself from, and it'll frustrate you while you're playing through the story mode at times. But I real quick, I got the negatives out of the way because it is time for the many positives that I think as far as gameplay goes. And I'll start with lightsaber against lightsaber combat. It is fantastic. This game was meant for it. I think they literally made this game for it because it is just so well constructed in Revenge of the Sith. You'll have these epic battles, all while the lightsaber sounds are just on point, immersing you in these epic fights.
dark side.
You're a disgrace to the Order.
The combat honestly gives me vibes of a Soul game at times, though. A little bit as far as, like, not lightsaber combat goes. It's important to learn certain patterns from specific enemies. I mean, I guess as far as the lightsaber battles go as well. It's just, all these enemies in this game, whether I guess it is lightsaber people, whether it's droids, whether it's clones, these special souped-up clones, it doesn't matter. They all have their specific, like, attacks that you have to learn if you want to survive. And you could dodge your way around them. You can also parry/reverse, which leads to more cool stuff as far as the lightsaber battles go. You also get test of strength moments, which I believe is triggered when you both attack at the same time. Something triggers it. I think that's what it is. It just gives you these awesome standoff moments between these awesome characters that you know from the Star Wars universe. And outside of lightsaber combat, so I'm not drooling over it for the next 45 minutes, the normal combat, just against like your typical enemies as you play through the game, is also solid. It's not just button mashing one button like some of these kind of games can be. They give you the square button, the triangle button, and the circle button as far as PlayStation goes for your saber attacks. That could also be combined into super sweet looking lightsaber combos. While attacking, you also have to be smart about defending yourself, of course. I mean, that's how battling goes, and it's well done here. You got to be smart. You can't just hold down L1 to block and just, I mean, you could just sit there the whole time, but they'll give you some, they'll throw some wrenches in your plans if you plan on just chilling the whole time. You got to be smart when you release the block button as well. You got to be, you got to time it right, or you're going to get lit up while you're exposed. But of course, when it comes to Star Wars games, there's more than just blasters and lightsabers when it comes to gameplay. You also have the Force powers, and I think there is a decent bit of stuff here to keep you entertained all the way through. Down by your health bar, you'll see a bluish-looking white bar that shows you how much Force you currently have. And trust me, you'll want that as full as possible, because the Force, in my opinion, is very useful and well done in Revenge of the Sith. You obviously have your straight up Force where you levitate enemies in the air, or you pick up objects and you throw them at enemies, which can lead to some funny times, whether you're blowing yourself up by accident or you're killing your opponent. Saber throwing is another effective thing that you could do from distances. I think those two Force powers are the distance powers in this game. Jedis have Force stun that will, as always, probably, as you could guess, stun your opponents, which leave them vulnerable to attacks where they can't defend themselves anymore. So very useful tool for the Jedi. And the Force stun also turns into like a Jedi mind trick kind of power in a couple missions as Obi-Wan against the clones in the story, but we will touch more on that in the second half of this video. And then if you're feeling evil, of course, the Sith have Force lightning. I wish it were a tad bit more powerful, but it looks phenomenal when you're using it. And unfortunately, outside of the lightning, I feel like the Sith kind of got screwed over here, specifically Anakin. Unfortunately, Force Choke is missing. I feel like with this game being kind of based around Anakin as the main point of the story, he would have received his legendary Force Choke ability that he uses so often once he becomes Darth Vader. They do also throw in two story-based abilities here, which are Force Jumping and Dashing. I think you can maybe use the dash while you're doing other game modes, but I never do, and I didn't even attempt, to be completely honest. I could be wrong on that one, but the Force Jump is forced, no pun intended. They're just these specific areas that you go to in the story to jump from one section to the other, although there are some epic jumps at times that look insanely cool. And yes, there's more, and maybe perhaps the most important Force ability in this game is Force Healing. This power will get you through this game, let's just put it that way. It'll save you time after time. Without it, you would not be as all-powerful as you would like to be as a Jedi/Sith. It comes in very clutch, and I'm always paying attention to how much Force I have left because I need to use it all the time. That might not be a good thing, but I find myself using it commonly, and it keeps me going in this game, and it keeps me from dying, which I did not do a lot. So I must be doing something right. Outside of your fighting abilities, for this game being based on a couple-hour movie, they do a good job of giving you enemies that aren't from the movie. But once again, we will dig more into that as far as enemies go in the second half of the video. It is nice while you're fighting these enemies that allies actually cover your ass, I must say. Instead of being brain dead like a lot of games do as far as your AI partner goes, they will actually, like, seriously watch your back. That's all I ask for. How hard is that? And one last thing before we go to the second half of this video is the sound design. The soundtrack here is everything you can ask for from a Star Wars game. It'll just give you all this epic music from the movies and the Star Wars universe to make you feel like you could take on an entire army, which you do kind of have to do at some points during the story playthrough. And while fighting these lightsaber battles, as I touched on earlier, the sound from the lightsabers is solid with the music playing in the background.
Keep it up. You're no match for my skills.
And it just brings you in and makes you want to just keep playing and fighting things. And another neat thing I thought was cool, little side note here, is Darth Vader also has his breathing, which it might sound stupid to say this, but there's games nowadays that are made that just don't put in the detail work like this game does, and it's just nice to have. They even have Darth Vader's dying breath. Like whenever he's low on health while you're fighting him, he will sound like he's about to pass out while he does his little squealing breathing, and I just think it's a great touch.
I'll dismantle you piece by piece.
As far as modes go, I think it's obvious we're going to start with the story mode. I usually like to start from the top, work my way to the side stuff later, get the main thing out of the way. And assuming that you've seen the movie, you know the main idea of the story, but I love this game because it tells a much more detailed tale with its 6 or so hour journey instead of just a couple hours that you get from the movie. You start by trying to rescue Palpatine from Count Dooku's grips. And I must say, I feel like this movie was meant to be a game, just the way it progressively gets harder as the levels and story carry on. For example, this first few beginning levels, you have a partner with you, but in the future levels you do not, and that's just the way the movie was structured, and the game just follows it perfectly, and I feel like it works great for a game. Even though Obi-Wan could get on my nerves, screaming at me at times that I wish he would just chill out and let me be.
Force jump, Anakin! Force jump, Anakin! Watch yourself! Back! Watch those snipers!
I can handle this.
Another jump pile! Force jump, Anakin!
Like, I'm trying my best, man. Give me a break. My mother died in the last movie. My girl's now pregnant. I'm trying to not let her die in childbirth. I constantly have these emotional problems going through me while fighting off the dark side while Palpatine's manipulating me. Just give me a breather. Just give me some space, Obi-Wan, and let me hack this terminal or save R2 or whatever I need to do.
Stop screaming at me.
And throughout your journey on the ship to rescue Palpatine, you fight your typical droids, your super battle droids, you hack some terminals, you protect R2-D2 a couple times, your standard video game objective stuff for the beginning stages of the game. Once you make it to Palpatine, you of course fight Count Dooku just like the movies. These story fights are a lot of fun in my opinion. They allow you to fight through these few different areas during each battle while playing them, and it plays out to be this awesome epic fight that turns into a longer fight than the movies do. So like I said, just more detail on it, and it gives you a little bit more time to really feel the moment. And after, of course, you murder Count Dooku and you show your evil side from Anakin, you'll notice that after each level you get experience points based on how you did. And this adds a slight skill tree to the game. It's nothing too in-depth or crazy, but it's nice to have. It allows you to choose how you want to upgrade Anakin and Obi-Wan separately through the story of them drifting apart in this game. You can choose to go the combat route or the force route with your upgrades, or do a little bit of a mix of both. Like you can make Obi-Wan all force upgraded while Anakin's all powerful in the combat area, whatever you choose. But like I said earlier, I would highly recommend that you focus on force heal first. If you get that fully upgraded, you're just gonna use it a lot and need it in this game, because this game can get challenging in the second half here. So you fight your way off the ship, fighting droidicas who will F you up if you can't take them out as quickly as possible. One time they were actually glitched out, firing away non-stop, like Palpatine with his unstoppable lightning powers that just can't be stopped or contained. You eventually get captured by Grievous, much like the movie, and in order to escape, you get this pretty sick battle with the Grievous bodyguards. Another detailed moment. This lasts longer than the movie. They are similar to lightsaber battle wielders, but they're just unique in their own way. It's hard to describe unless you play it. Everything you fight is just unique. And make sure you finish them off before you chop them up, because just like the Assaultrons from Fallout 4, my last video, these things, while they're cut in half or while they're on the ground, they'll just keep coming at you with their heads only, and they'll try to rip your face off and stuff while you're fighting them off. It gets crazy. After finally making it off the ship, this is where Anakin and Obi-Wan go separate ways, and you no longer have a partner with you. You first get to play as Obi-Wan on this solo adventure hunting General Grievous on Utapau. This is probably my least favorite enemy in this game that made me rage quit, if I'm being quite honest with you guys, for a couple reasons here. One being that they're just irritating and non-stop trying to hug me at every chance they get.
Obi-Wan, watch out!
Look, I don't need your love. Stop blocking my attacks. Let me kill you and move on with my life and go hug something else. And second reason being that this is another Dark Souls type of feature from this game, and they make you replay the entire level when you die. And don't get me wrong, these levels aren't 20 minutes long or anything. They probably reach a max of like 10 minutes, but when you're like in the last 2 or so minutes and you just die like I did a couple straight times here, I was just out. So I came back the next day, and I ended all hope for these stupid hugging droids and their love, and beat this part of the game. And then now that I vented, let's get back on track. Just before facing off against Grievous after destroying those stupid hugging droids, you also run into spider droids, which had me a little stressed out. It's one of those innovative enemies that I appreciate from this game because you don't get to see them up front and in person in the movies, so they let you fight them here, and they always put them towards the end of the level, so you're scared shitless the whole time fighting them because you know if you fail, you gotta start the whole mission over again. And fortunately, I did not fail, and I beat them both times that I was given them as enemies. They're actually pretty fun to battle, just avoiding them and, like I said, being scared that you'll die. And once you defeat a couple of those spider droids, a couple different points of these levels, you will now get to the Grievous fight. And this is another cool battle here. I would say it's probably my least favorite lightsaber battle from the story, but I think they're all just fantastic because this game is just made for lightsaber action. I like how each stage of the fight you notice your opponent will get more difficult as the fight goes along low. Like this part, he doesn't use his gun ability until the second part of it, and then he'll start using this charge ability that he has, and it will actually terrify you sometimes because he looks like he is ready to end you real quick.
This is your last stand, General.
Simply put, this is just the part of Revenge of the Sith that I just love so much as a lightsaber fan and loving Anakin like I do. I did not mention that yet, but Anakin is my dude as far as Star Wars goes. I love him. But yeah, you just get the non-stop lightsaber battles, and this is when Anakin starts his descent down to the dark side, and Revenge of the Sith was just perfectly made for those kind of things. And because that is, right after fighting Grievous, you turn to Anakin turning to the dark side instantly. You don't get any build up to it because he doesn't really do anything from the movie, so they play right into it. And this is again where this game is great in detail, because instead of just killing Mace Windu and throwing him out the window in an instant, you get this actual lightsaber fight with this man. And this fight was a start of another rivalry for me, and my number one rivalry from this game. I don't know what it is about this man Mace Windu. I struggled so hard to beat this bitch. He just goes crazy with these combos that just mess you up, and I'm not sure why his combos do so much damage. I don't know, I could be in my head about this, I'm not sure. I just really struggle with Mace Windu as far as Revenge of the Sith game goes. I could barely get any offense in against him, and even once I finally did, once you reach the halfway point of this fight, he starts turning into a Jedi master of healing himself at all points. So when you finally get some offense on and his health goes down, he brings it right back up as soon as he knocks you down 2 seconds later, because he's just unstoppable force in this game. But luckily, after conquering Mace Windu, finally, after a few attempts, we get to my personal favorite level, and I would highly recommend playing through this one. For sure, Anakin attacking the Jedi Temple, it's just another level that gives you more context and emotion than the movie is able to do. Anakin walks in and instantly ends the poor librarian woman's life, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down in this temple. And that's exactly what happens. It goes down. You play through this entire level with clones at your side, fighting off non-stop Padawans and Jedi Master people in this temple. It's messed up to like a level like this because it's super evil, but from the evil point of view, this is just well done, and this is a big scene that I feel like was missing from the main movie. This temple even has blue Darth Maul. Like, what more could you ask for? They gave you a double-sided lightsaber guy. He just reminds you of Darth Maul. They present some challenges for you, that's for sure. And once you finally make it through the temple, you fight Syndraulic and Sarah. Who? Syndraulic is a Jedi Master in the temple, and he actually appeared in the Clone Wars series, to my knowledge, briefly. I think I remember him, actually. I only watched that show once, but as far as I know, he only appeared briefly in there. He's just a master in the Jedi Temple. And then Sarah is his Padawan, or I don't know if they're direct partners. I just know that she learned from Syndraulic, so you fight her first. These two battles are just unique because you've never seen them on the screen before. So they're brand new. Anakin kills her. I didn't really struggle with Sarah much. As cool as she is with her two lightsabers, I took care of her pretty quickly. Syndraulic, on the other hand, I did struggle with him a good bit. He was opposing threat. Never achieved killing me once, but he was a good threat to have. And then you transition back to Obi-Wan as shit's going down. Order 66 is executed. You fight your way off the Utapau, fighting clones. And this is the level with the Jedi mind trick that I mentioned earlier. Obi-Wan basically turns these clones' minds back to the good side temporarily, so they fight for you. It's just fun to sit here and have the clones turn on each other. It's just one of those goofy moments in games it's just fun to mess around with. And of course, after escaping Utapau, it's time for the grand finale that almost every Star Wars fan loves to death. Jar Jar Binks.
Misa accept this with more humility and
Jar Jar.
No, get out of here, Jar Jar. It's time for Anakin versus Obi-Wan on flippin' Mustafar. What else would we be here for playing this game? When I say I'm obsessed with this fight from the movies, I cannot stress that enough. I love it to death. I watched it a million times as a kid. I still get those feels and those chills on my skin every time watching this battle. It just does it for me. It hits different. And Anakin versus Obi-Wan here is no different. Anakin, in my opinion, is far much more fun to play as and harder to face as well. He's just quick, he's agile, he just does these awesome moves. He's just insane. And while I will say he wasn't Mace Windu difficult, he did defeat me one time while battling him as Obi-Wan in this final battle. This battle is super intense though, and as you fight your way through these different areas, you get the added dialogue, which again is just some extra spice to the—
I only wanted what was best for you, Anakin. I wasn't prepared to train someone like you. That's your failing, not mine. Perhaps I did fail you, but I won't abandon you to the dark side. That's not your decision to make. They should have left you on Tatooine! Anakin Skywalker is dead!
There's some really good shots here as well as far as cutscenes go. I'm sorry the cutscenes are a little ugly if I've shown them already in this video. I don't know what it was about the cutscenes. They look terrible, but the game doesn't look bad itself. You just get them fighting in the distance at one point, and it looks like you're playing actually in the movie. It just immerses you well. Mustafar also looks dangerous as ever. But as Obi-Wan, you defeat Anakin just like the movie, and you get that famous line,
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! You underestimate the power of the dark side. Don't try it!
and then Anakin turns into Darth Vader, blah, 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 you know the deal. But of course, this game drops another surprise on you and shows that it has the balls to give you an alternate ending. And they toy with canon a little bit here, and they let you play as Anakin instead of fighting as Obi-Wan. You are Anakin, and it was amazing playing as Anakin because it's just different, and like I said, he is just a straight badass as far as combat goes, and it turns this fight up to another level. I did not die once this time, and the cutscenes here are all the same, which is unfortunate throughout, but the scene that you get at the end of the fight is what's different here.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! You underestimate the power of the dark side. Don't try it!
us. The galaxy is ours now. Your new weapon, Lord Vader.
So as Anakin, you prove that the advantage of the high ground is a myth, and you kill Obi-Wan, and you now rule the galaxy, so no Darth Vader, no Palpatine, the original trilogy is dead. Alright, we need to move on before this video becomes an hour long. The story is obviously going to take the longest because I want to deep dive into that like I always do. Real talk though, I want to get through the bonus missions as quick as possible because they're not really that epic, and then we will get on to my favorite thing that brings this game to the epic level that I believe it's on. These little bonus missions, they're 5-minute or so missions that you do. I don't even want to call them missions, they're more like survival most of the time. The first one you play is Grievous's bodyguard, which I found to be very underwhelming, because like General Grievous himself, when you play as him, which you do play in the second one as well, so we'll just do these together. They just have 1 or 2 moves, and that's like, that it seriously feels like it. They don't have like the cool lightsaber abilities like the lightsaber wielders do, or the cool combos. They're just kind of boring to play as. You do get to fight Obi-Wan in the Grievous one, which is pretty neat. See, I think the first 2 bonus missions are dud, but luckily Anakin is always around to save the day. His mission isn't a survival type of thing like the first 2. It's more like a Mario level. You have to jump from like platform to platform while fending off enemies at the same time, and they take the floor as lava literal here, and like if you fall in the floor, you will hit lava and you will die in an instant. It's not super epic, but it is fun, and then after the Anakin level, you get to play as freaking Yoda, probably my second favorite character in all of Star Wars, and Yoda is so unique compared to every single other person you play as in this game. He's a blast to jump around like a crazy person. He's just so cool. This is like, his jump button is not even a jump button. It's an attack as well, because that's all he does is jump. Unlike anybody else in this game, if you jump, you will actually kill people. And I wish they would let you play Yoda versus Palpatine, I must say, in the story, because it's from the movie. They clearly only wanted you to play as Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just a shame because Yoda is so much fun to play as far as the character goes, and I think Palpatine versus Yoda is a matchup that is just so epic that needs to happen and let you play, because why not? Or at least a bonus mission, like the last bonus mission you play in this section, which is Ben Kenobi versus Darth Vader from A New Hope. It's a nice little Easter egg mission. Even like I said, I think they should have did Palpatine versus Yoda, but they give you this fight, of course the fight that starts it all from the original movie, and you actually get a chance to make this fight fun because the original one for me is not good at all. I know some people will defend it because it's just part of the original trilogy, but let's be real here, that battle was whack, and here you can actually make it a decent fight. But enough about the little bonus missions in the story. Let's get to the massive reason for me that this game, Revenge of the Sith, is so massively underrated. And that, of course, is versus, or aka lightsaber duels. To my knowledge, there isn't a single Star Wars game that lets you have lightsaber battles like Revenge of the Sith does. I spent 6-ish hours playing the campaign and the bonus missions, and then I jumped into this like I did in my childhood, and I spent another 6 hours just playing this.
I will strike you down.
It's just endless fun that never stops. The computer is on point for these battles. They will put you to the test. You get to come up with these matchups that you wish happened on the big screen. For example, what if Anakin went to Utapau instead of Obi-Wan to fight Grievous? Well, you could play out that scenario yourself here. Or do you want to play as Anakin himself versus Darth Vader, which is the same person in the lore, but you get to see how that matchup would play. That would be impossible on the screen. Or you can have 2 Jedi Masters like Obi-Wan and Mace Windu face off, who is the real leader of the Jedi Council. And like I said, I wish you could play as Yoda and also put him up in that scenario, but they don't let you here, and it's a shame. Also, Palpatine is excluded here, and I think that is also a shame. Something this game nails is every lightsaber wielder just feels unique. As I briefly said earlier, uniqueness is something that this game does well. Like, I noticed Obi-Wan and Jedi Master Syndraulic both were passive a lot of the time, and they healed a lot more. But then you fight someone like Anakin, and he is just so much more aggressive, using saber attacks and force attacks a lot more. You can even do the same person fighting each other, which leads to these cool alternate versions of each character. I just thought it was cool that they actually were creative here, and they gave you alternate attires for these people, and they even gave you dark versions of some characters. But even with all these characters, I recommend Anakin still. Outside of Yoda, he's just the most fun to battle with, tearing your way through everybody, minus one man, of course. Just like the story, Mace Windu was out to get me and make my life a living hell. I seriously tried almost every single character you get to use in this game to take him down.
Next time, stay home.
And it did not matter at all. Samuel L. Jackson must have had some input here to make Mace Windu ridiculously overpowered. And of all characters that I actually defeated him once with, and that's seriously all I defeated him with. I tried every single character minus one, because General Grievous was the one that got me to conquer Master Windu. I just couldn't believe it, because I feel like General Grievous is the weakest out of all the lightsaber people, but he just must have had that special touch that allowed me to finally get through Mace Windu and get through these duels and allow me to make this video, because I wasn't doing it until I took him down. But in summary, I know Revenge of the Sith isn't better than Battlefront, Jedi Fallen Order / Survival, or even the LEGO Star Wars games, which I did not mention in the intro. I don't believe it's better than any of those, but I think I've made my case why this game deserves a lot more recognition than it gets, and some of your time. I promise you, just jump into some one-on-one lightsaber battles and it'll be worth every second of your time. The story isn't a legendary playthrough, but it's still pretty great. Having that added dialogue is just worth the playthrough. In the middle of the fights and the scenes, you'll just get the characters talking shit to each other, and it's just nice, and you get the extra context from the cutscenes. And if you like challenging yourself with survival stuff, play the bonus missions. I don't think they're super challenging, but it's still fun to kind of mess around through. They even have co-op ones for you. I played one real quick, but if you have like a friend or a sibling, or just the AI like I did, they're kind of cool to just mess around and go through. So with all that being said, go give this game some love. You will not regret it. If you love this game or hate this game, let me know in the comments if you have played it, or you jump back into it after this video. Come back and let me know what you thought of it. All opinions are welcome here, so if you even hated it or disagree, that's fine. If you agree, that's also obviously fine. But be sure to give me any games you want me to dive into as well in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video as well if you enjoyed. All this recent support from you guys has been extremely motivating for me, and lets the channel keep growing and this community growing, which is what I'm all about. Let's grow together and make this channel something, and that can only happen if you subscribe and come back as well. So be sure to stick around for videos on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. But I gotta get out of here to work on the next video, so I hope you have a great rest of your day. That's gonna be it from me. See ya!